conversation. So I'm going to wait until 5 minutes. Oh, it's 8 minutes after. Now let's go ahead and
Well, Nelson's asking that we double check with Mr. Gray and Ratliff.
Call him now. Your hand.
Oh, he just dropped from the meeting.
Did you lose the mayor?
He lost the mayor. I'm sure he'll join right back. There he is.
Are we expecting anybody?
Unless,
Person?
okay, the only person that I'm not sure is
Somebody
Wanda,
said she was,
but she said about 5:30 though.
I mean, I'll still be
somebody
here.
said 5:30.
But I think that might be Zoom, not even.
Oh, Zoom, okay.
Yeah, I'm checking, let's see.
Mayor Beckman, would you, Nelson and Ratliff want to double check with Gray as far as the quorum question? If you want to make a quick phone call.
Can't be on Normandy because she doesn't have a Normandy.
Who was that?
Lawanda, her Normandy email's not working, so I noticed she didn't send me. Let me see, this is in my email.
Charles will be here in 10 minutes.
This shouldn't take that long, right, Angela? This is probably what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I don't know how long you guys are.
Yeah, I've been going at it all day.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, Mr. Gray, Mayor Beckman here. If you could give me a call back. We're in the process of having a budget workshop and we don't have a quorum. We don't have 5 and we want to know if we can continue without a quorum. If there's no motions, no votes taken, this meeting was published 24 hours in advance. Give me a call back if you would. Thank you. No answer.
Okay.
So we've had conflicting opinions on this. We have been advised in the past not to proceed. And I don't see the logic behind that because any 4 council people can come together as long as there's notice and have a conversation. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm really feeling under the weather. I'm going to call the meeting to order, take roll call. Lacking a quorum, I will close the meeting and then everybody can just stay on and have a conversation because it was, all right, here, I got a call back. Hello. Good, thank you. Hey, we scheduled a workshop for 5 o'clock and we've got 4 council people here, which obviously doesn't constitute a quorum. My question is, right, it was posted, yeah. Okay, not correct. Okay. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you. So the answer is we're good to proceed. I do have a couple issues I wanted to vote on. So if a fifth shows up, we'll get back to that. So let's call this meeting to order. Sam, can you take a roll call, please?
Councilmember Martin, Councilmember Moss, Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Evans, Councilmember Hunt,
Here.
Councilmember Nelson.
Here.
Councilmember Ratliff.
Here.
Councilmember Campbell. See her.
Yolanda, you're muted. Yolanda, you're muted. Thank you.
Okay,
I did get a text from Wanda. From Wanda. She said she'd be in.
Oh,
okay.
she's coming in.
Councilwoman,
Zooming in.
Councilwoman Smith should be on the Zoom in 10 minutes is what we've been told.
Okay.
Yeah.
So without a quorum, I have two issues. One was the bid on the tree removal on Florissant Road. The other is Mid-American Water wants to replace the entire water main on Paddington. And our ordinance requires that the city council from time to time establish permit fees, and we have not done that. So without having a permit fee schedule, Sam and I just got together and determined what would be a fair fee for this permit. We came up with $1,130, but before I can charge that $1,130, I'm going to have to get a vote of the council to approve this. And that's because, like I say, we just lack a fee schedule, and we're going to have to do our homework and create a fee schedule for these excavation permits at some point in time. The other was the tree proposal. I was asked for additional bids. I don't have additional bids. I do have additional replies. Dexter Tree Service and Landscaping went to the site, looked at the tree and never got back to me. Jackson Tree Service went to the site and sent me the following email. Excuse me, I gotta put my glasses on. I can't even read, my eyes are so watery, excuse me. Thank you so much for reaching out to us for this project. Mike stopped by to take a look at the work today. This is a very difficult removal. Unfortunately, we are unable to offer an estimate for this project as we do not have the proper equipment set up needed to complete the job. We sincerely apologize for this inconvenience and hope you will keep us in mind for future projects. So the two people I called, the additional people I called, they're just not interested in this job because it is a bit of a nightmare. I have the original bid from Hanson, and it was lower than I remembered it being. $5,500 was the bid from Hanson. Lacking a quorum, we can't take a motion or a vote on this, but I wanted to bring this to your attention. If at any point in time during this meeting we get a quorum, then I'll ask for a motion to amend and address these issues. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Has he called Gamma Tree?
Can you hear
Well,
Councilwoman Ratliff?
Yeah, Gamma, we're not in good rapport with Gamma. We left owing them a lot of money. We still owe them $8,000 from years past, and there was some work done that was alleged unauthorized. It had the mayor's signature, but it was very questionable whether it had the authority to order that work. It was done on private property, and I wasn't there at the time. You were. You know what conversations went on about that. So we're not we don't have a good relationship with Gamma. I did not call them.
Okay, that's fine. But didn't Steve Garrett take care of those fees?
Exactly.
He negotiated, but again, I wasn't here for that whole thing. I know I'm still getting the occasional email from Gamma stating we owe them $8,000. And this is going years back, and it's not something that I was willing to re-engage in. It wasn't high on my priority list. And quite frankly, when I talked to the gentleman, I said, really, I think the only way you're going to get this money is to sue the city. I'm not authorized. I don't have a signed contract with you. I can't authorize this payment. So at some point in time, if the council wants to readdress this bill with Gamma, I'm happy to do that. I just don't have any historical knowledge of what went on over this whole issue. So
No, it was Steve Garrett's law firm was supposed to work on all of those when he gave his termination letter. All of that was supposed to be negotiated with Steve Garrett and his law firm.
I'm not sure that Gamma Tree was in the special agreement when he left. I can check and see. I don't remember that being the case.
Yeah,
But I'll follow up with that and find out.
Mayor Beckman,
Yes,
as Ms. Ratliff stated, that all the debts, everything that we owe, Steve Garrett bundled that and supposedly have made arrangements to get payoffs or something with everybody. Everyone, every vendor that we owed, I remember that. So that was one of the projects.
so your recollection is that we were paid up with Gamma with whatever arrangement was made?
No,
It was a
no, I'm
settlement.
just saying that Steve supposedly negotiated. He kept coming back to us saying he's negotiating the contracts,
That Patrick didn't do.
right, the stuff that we didn't pay, or we had bills here, and he was taking care of all of that, to my understanding.
Well, I can bring what I have to the next meeting if you'd like to do that. If you want to get square with them, it's an $8,000 bill. I don't have a contract with them. I don't have anything in writing as to any negotiations. So I can put it in the hands of the council as to how they want to resolve this issue. I just don't have the authority to do it without a signed contract.
Okay, but what we're saying is, there was, when Steve Garrett was the attorney, and when Patrick Green left, there was bills to be paid. Steve Garrett was negotiating all of that with Kennedy Fence, with any bill that had been submitted,
Right.
and no contract was on it through Patrick Green.
Can you hold on just a minute? Tony Evans is trying to call in. He might have trouble. Hey,
Maybe
Tony.
Garrett needs to be contacted.
Hey, I'm on the budget meeting. It started at 5.
We got a phone call from Tony.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. We don't have a quorum, but we're gonna go ahead and discuss some issues without, we won't be able to vote or do anything, but we're just having a conversation. And Gray said we were okay to move forward because we did post it. Whether we have a quorum or not, we can have a conversation. We just really can't conduct any business.
Got a phone call.
Yeah, it's indifferent. I'm indifferent to it. So, yeah. All right.
So I guess it's not.
Well, here's the deal. If we get a quorum, I can get this, hopefully get this Hanson tree bid passed and pass, let American Water start on that. Oh, excuse me a minute. Just excuse me for a minute.
How you doing?
And we can let the water main project get started on Paddington. So yeah, if you do dial in, we can take a vote on those two issues.
So that's not a sewer lateral or anything like that?
They're replacing the water.
Say
main.
again.
Water. That's different than the sewer lateral.
Yeah, this is where people get their water from. And
That's
so
probably us. Yeah.
it's
They're not responsible for repairing it.
All right. Well, I'll tell Sam you're trying to get in.
to dig
All right,
underneath the street,
good.
they need a permit from us.
Oh, just the permit.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so,
Not.
and
They
the-
were trying to.
yeah, because it's not set out in our ordinances. what it- So we came up with a number based off of how many times it's gonna take Raymond Winston, our inspector, to go out there and check and recheck, because it's a multi-day project. And that,
Did they submit what they're gonna be doing? Because the last time we had a vendor to replace the water line on St. Anne, they dug it up, and St. Anne now is the most bumpiest road in the city of Normandy. So they did a crappy job for us asphalting it or concrete in the street back.
Right.
So did they put a specs of what they're gonna be doing?
Councilman Hunt, I had that same concern and I talked to Missouri American Water about that. This one is not going to be done by a subcontractor. American Water is doing this one. My
But did-
experience has been most of those problems have been when a subcontractor is hired by the utility company, and some of those just don't do good work. And that was my same concern. But Missouri American Water assured me they are doing this project themselves. They'll not be subbing it out.
Okay, did they mention to you, how would they be doing the concrete work? Because, I mean, just, a handshake is probably not good enough. We need to know, are they just going to replace the piping that's above the piping that they're gonna replace, or they're gonna repair the whole street?
Oh, they're repairing the entire street. They're excavating the entire street, 3 feet
Okay.
wide, 1,525 feet long.
But it's 3 feet wide though, right?
Yeah,
So sounds like to me that they're only
Half of
gonna put 3 feet patch going down the
Right.
street.
yep.
Well, that may not be satisfactory.
Well, you know
because-
what? We can tell them yes, or we can tell them no, but if we don't give them this permit, we don't get our water main replaced. I mean, we're not in a position to dictate to them how they make their repair. We can tell them that we want this street repaired properly when they're done. But I don't think we can dictate how much pipe they replace when they replace this main. 3 feet is enough to replace the main and replace the connections that go to every residential property.
And part of what this fee covers is what it costs Raymond Winston to go out there and make sure that they're not doing a crappy job. I think they said that they're gonna tear up the entire length of the project. Then as they move forward day by day, they're gonna fill in and concrete, then fill in and concrete. And then, so there's an inspection every day for every part they fill in, and then there's a final inspection when they,
right. Well,
so.
Mayor, are you
Yes.
there?
Yes, I am.
Over the years, we've always had a problem with American Water. I mean, it's like they are the only ones that we can use. But we're just talking about when the project is done. You know, put a little love back into it where it was. They always
Well,
do.
Raymond Winston is going to be doing the inspections. I mean, if we're confident that he'll do a good job on the inspections, we should be okay. If we're not confident that he'll do a good job on inspections, we have a problem.
Right.
Then we need to sit down with Winston to understand what he's gonna be looking for, because,
We don't need to sit down with Winston. We're not inspectors. We either trust Winston to do his job or we get a new inspector. I'm not an inspector. You're not an inspector. Winston either knows his job or he doesn't. We have to put the faith in the inspector that we hire. If you choose that you're not confident that Raymond Winston will do a good job, then we'll hire county to do it. I mean, but for us to sit down and discuss with Winston.
That's not the question that we asked him. It was not about his experience. We was gonna ask them what was the overlook of the job from the American Water. American Water has to submit permits to let you know how far they're digging, what they're gonna put back as a field, how wide they're digging. All that has to be submitted in order to even pull a permit. So, and in that submitted bid and those drawings, they will tell you how thick the concrete's gonna be, how wide the concrete's gonna be. That has to be submitted to Winston. Then we issue them a permit.
I really suggest that we not put this off. I don't want to be in a position where they've got standards that they're obligated to do. There's code as to what they have to do to replace a street. The density of the compaction when they put the rock back in. These are all codes that they have to follow.
Let's say this for
Everyone
the rest of the
understands that.
council. We can move forward.
Everyone understands that, but it's nothing wrong with asking questions.
Okay, who wants to sit down with American Water and discuss their engineering plans? I mean, I'm not interested in doing that. If you want, I will tell you this is going to get put off and we're going to put, it'll be next year before they do it, if that's where you want to go.
That's not what we're saying.
All right, then are you volunteering to sit down and discussing the engineering plans with Missouri American Water? Who wants to do that?
If necessary, I will.
And what do you know about engineering? This is
Mayor,
just
can we just
ludicrous.
table this for?
Okay. Now,
another
I'm telling you, if you
meeting?
table this project may not get done, but that's fine. That's on you.
Always
That's fine. I will tell you, we've got Lawanda is in now. Lawanda, you're muted, by the way. So I'll look for a motion to issue a permit to Missouri American Water for a fee of $1,130. If I have that motion and a second, I'll call for a vote. It'll pass or it won't. Do I have a motion to issue this permit to Missouri American Water?
I have a question.
Yes. Well, let's get the motion in a second and then we'll have discussion. That's the order it should go in. Now that we have a quorum here.
Yeah,
We now do have it. Councilwoman Smith, are you present?
Yes, present.
There's 5 present. There's a quorum now.
Didn't the agenda say roll call, budget and finance and adjourn?
that's what it says. I don't know anything about that. This is something for next month's meeting.
Right,
I don't know why we having a discussion about
right, and this was
American
supposed to
Water
be
at
a
this time.
special thing for the budget.
I don't have a motion, lacking a motion. This is tabled. I'm also looking for a motion to amend the agenda to accept a bid from Hanson's Tree for the removal of a tree at, I'm looking for the address, 7669 Florissant Road.
It's not
Can I have a motion to amend the agenda to address this issue?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made. Do I have a second? Lacking a second, this issue it
I'll
dies.
second.
Oh, we have a second. Who is that?
This is Tony.
Hey,
I'm
Tony, we have a
finding out.
motion and we have a second. Any discussion on the Hanson tree bid to remove that tree on Florissant Road that's ready to fall down?
Okay,
I would like,
Yeah, I got that.
for you to reach out to 2 more contractors and get some more bids, find a contractor that's willing to do the work before I make a motion to approve it or not.
Okay, the motion's made and the second's made. Thank you for your comment. Any other comment on this Hanson tree bid for $5,500?
Irma
Tree
Ratliff, we
removal
need 3 bids.
Delay tactics.
Right, we need 3 bids.
Yeah, well, the one bid is I can't do it. I don't have the equipment. That's his response. A motion and a second. Can I have a roll call vote, please, Sam?
I have a question.
Sure, Tony.
Is this tree considered dangerous? I mean,
Yes, it is.
do,
It's the one that's leaning real badly and this is the one I mentioned that all the kids' toys are in the front yard because they can't play in their backyard. Because this is the one that I was
So-
talking about. Yeah.
so with all the snow and rain, the soil is soft, there's a possibility that this tree will fall over at any time.
It could because it's already leaning and it's leaning a little more every month.
Gotcha.
So there's a motion and a second. If
But
we're
I have,
gonna-
I have another question.
Sure.
Before, if the tree should fall, what's the liability?
Well, it's our tree. It's on our it's on Normandy property, the tree. I'm not a lawyer. I can't tell you what the liability would be. We know it's a dangerous tree. We know it's coming down. We've had discussions that are being recorded in an open public meeting about it. So I that's all I got to say about the liability. I can't tell you that.
All right, thanks.
All right.
And this is a motion to discuss or a motion to,
Well, we initially started with the motion to amend the budget to address this issue.
so this is a motion to amend the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Councilmember Smith.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Smith.
Can you repeat what you just said? I thought we was having a budget meeting. What
Right.
is the
Well, let
tree
me-
and all of
I
this?
will explain. In the chaos of last week's meeting, we rearranged the agenda. We took a lot of issues off the agenda. There were 2 items that got skipped. One was the Paddington water main replacement, and one was this tree issue on Florissant Road. They just got passed over at our last meeting. So I was hoping we could amend the agenda tonight and get these 2 issues addressed. I didn't realize they would be controversial.
This is not on the agenda. This could wait till
Right,
next
where
meeting.
that's what we have in our motion to amend the agenda to see if we can get this tree bid approved.
The tree been laying for 25 years. I'm pretty sure it could wait.
Okay, and you'll vote the way you vote then. So we have a motion to amend and a second. A roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Smith,
Can I ask a
Abstain.
quick question? Why was it taken off the original agenda?
It was under new business last month, at our last meeting. If you'll remember, we had a 20 to 25-minute conversation amending the agenda, moving items around, taking items off. In that confusion, these just got skipped over. They should have been discussed at the last meeting, and
I'm not
They
sure
were.
that we was waiting on some more bids.
Councilmember Evans,
motion to, thank you.
Councilmember Hunt,
No,
Councilmember Nelson,
No.
Councilmember Ratliff, Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
3-2, the motion fails.
Motion fails. All right, move on. I'll tell you what, I'm feeling under the weather. When everybody's satisfied that their answers have been questioned, or their questions have been answered by Angela Dorn. Councilman Hunt, would you be kind enough to adjourn this meeting? I'm just not feeling very well.
No, we could go on with the meeting. What do you
No,
think?
I want you to go on with the meeting. I just don't want to be here. And I'm asking that after the meeting is, after you're done and you've been satisfied with the questions, never mind, I'll stay on. Go ahead. It's all yours, Angela, if you want to make a introduction and then address questions.
Sure. Well, it's been a while since I've seen you all.
yeah.
But I'm happy to be here. A lot's gone on this past year, as I'm sure you all are aware. Things have been hard. From my standpoint, even our firm has had less staff available than we've had in the past. And so it's been a struggle. The city had a lot of turnover and, so it's taken us a while to kind of clean up some of the mess that happened over the summer. I'm hoping that we're at the point where we should be. I've spent most of this week trying to get these statements to where this is through September 30 to where I feel pretty confident about giving you a budget to actual that is reflective of what's been going on. We're working on October through January right now and have bits and pieces entered, but I didn't have enough to give you something I felt that would be we could discuss tonight. So, and I just finished this half an hour ago. So I apologize if you're on the call and you don't have it. Sam can send it to you after the meeting. When I look, I'm looking at the general fund and the sanitation fund and just trying to show you where things were with your budget through September 30, 2021. And when I look at your overall revenues, because I don't want to spend a lot of time tonight, and I need to, get you all caught up through January, and I'd be happy to come and meet with you again and go through that period as well in more detail, so you understand where we're at, because a lot of things have happened. So when I'm looking at your overall revenue for your general fund, you ended up at $3.5 million compared to page 1 of the general,
In the 2020.
the one that's stapled.
20 or 21?
Okay, I got a couple of things to the staple.
The one that says draft on it.
Right. Okay, October 1st. September.
I'm gonna talk about this one and then I'm gonna talk about. Okay. So your general fund had $3,530,016.79 in revenues compared to a budget of $3,371,350. So that's $158,000 more than we budgeted. A large part of that is due to COVID relief funds and an amount of $350,000 that you received from the county, and that was to help with what was going on during the COVID situation. The reason your revenues are not over budget by that amount, the $350,000, is basically because your court fines also went down, and they went down about 190,000. So overall, I thought, your revenues followed pretty much what we expected from your budget. The big difference, like I said, is that your court fines were down, and that was largely a function of during the COVID pandemic, there weren't many courts being held. And so we expected revenues to be down. That is substantially down, and hopefully we can recover from that process. But basically, that's how I see your revenues. Do you guys have questions on that?
I don't,
I'm on page 1.
page 1 of this one.
Mhm.
Okay,
So
so
I'm talking about, right?
down there, okay, so,
0.5 to 3 million. So you were in the positive
Mhm.
$158,000.
okay.
I think that's
Mhm.
largely because you got
But the-
300,000
Mhm.
revenues from the county for
Mhm.
care. See if I
Right.
can-
Where's the sanitation at on this page?
The sanitation's on another page. I'm gonna talk about that after I do this part.
Okay,
The
okay.
sanitation's a separate fund. So this
Okay,
is the
okay,
sanitation.
Okay, okay, all right, I'm with you now.
Okay,
Mhm.
and so then I was saying that your court fines are down 190,000 from what we budgeted, and that kind of makes up the difference
Okay,
for our
Mhm.
revenues.
okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can we expect this downward trend since we've lost a couple of municipalities who we handle their court systems for?
So the court fines that the city reports are not part of what you're doing for other municipalities.
Okay,
Those
okay.
those fees come under contractual fees, which, maybe if you have contracts with those cities and you're not doing their courts anymore, then you would lose that revenue, obviously. But I think the bigger part of your contractual fees are for police services.
But these court fees are specifically fines that Normandy
Yes,
would receive. Okay.
yes. And your staff, you finally built back up some court people. So, for a while you didn't have many staff in your court, but again, because of the pandemic, I don't think many courts were meeting, and I don't believe yours was meeting that much, right? They weren't. Pardon?
Zoom.
By Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that as we move forward into 2022, which is the same hope I had in 2021, that we'll be getting back to normal. Then just looking at your overall expenses, I just want to look at by department. Administrative expenses of 231,000 compared to 171,000 that we budgeted. So those are about 50,000 over budget. When I look at this, because there's been a lot of change in staff, and I see like we have an account called utilities admin that wasn't budgeted. So I feel like that I still need to kind of figure out what department we normally record that in and move those funds. So we can work on that and figure out that part. Unemployment was pretty high, a lot of turnover, a lot of people leaving. So your unemployment was something we hadn't expected. When I look at City Hall, which is your next category, you had spent 453,000 compared to 400,000 that was budgeted. Again, just more expense. The biggest expense within your City Hall is probably your legal and accounting fees, and also your insurance. And insurance came in at what we budgeted, which is really what we want to see. I think legal and accounting fees are up just because of the type of year it's been, and there was a lot of legal issues that I think required more time. And then our, accounting services went up also because without staff, we had to increase some of the things to keep payroll moving and things like that we had not anticipated. I will say that we are transitioning back to putting some of those tasks back on the city so that we can keep costs down. And I'm very happy about that because that'll make it work a lot better going forward. So we're working towards that endeavor right now.
Angela, I got a question.
Mhm.
You said that you took over the payroll.
We didn't take over the payroll.
You just,
We took over entering the data into your payroll software. The same payroll companies still did your payroll.
okay,
But-
so that's the services that we used to do ourselves, right?
You had a person here that entered those hours in, and I would review those hours for you sometimes
Mhm.
at that time. it became more of an issue. Nobody here understood how to get the entries into the software. But like I said, we've made strides to now train Sam to take back over that function so
So-
that,
How many months were your company was doing this, sir?
when did we start doing it?
So I
Was
think
it
when
when Leslie
there
left?
was an HR payroll administrator
Right.
with, and when that person left, which I think was,
May, right?
no, I think that was August.
July or August.
Yeah,
I think it was.
I believe, well, Lieutenant, or there's a lieutenant who does the police payroll, which is the biggest portion of our
Right.
staff. When the payroll administrator left, or HR specialist, I think was her official title, left in August. Then it went to someone at your firm,
Yes.
who started filling in and helping out, and then I stepped in. So that's, August, and then I stepped in here in December.
So
And
it was additional charge because the original contract that you guys have is not to do that service for us. So that was additional charge for you to do that.
Well, it takes more time.
Right.
Our contract's based on time, so.
Right.
it-
yeah,
I
so,
mean,
the person who was doing it, she's not a CPA, but I mean,
No,
she still
right.
bills
So
us
right,
for her
there's still a
hours.
billing for our time, but it's not as much as like my time to put that payroll.
Yeah,
in.
yeah, and to be clear, so now me and Lieutenant George, we put the payroll process together, and then we still have someone at Sickage do a quick review, but the amount of labor that goes into the review is minimal compared to actually putting it all together.
And
So-
during this time, I'm gonna tell you, you had a lot of turnover and that required extra payrolls, extra checks. I mean, and trying to record all of that activity has taken a lot more time because instead of having 2 payrolls a month with plus the city hall's payroll, we have probably 5 or 6 reports a month at least to record because of extra paychecks that have to be done since so many people have been coming and going.
I agree, you guys did a fantastic job. It's just that me as a council member, and I want to speak to myself, I don't recall anything brought to our attention that our CPA or the firm that's doing our work was approved to do extra work to cover, enter the data for payroll. So that's, you can go ahead and move on. I just wanted to know approximately the month and the time that was done. Okay, go ahead.
So the next category is your city hall expenses, 453,000 compared to
Oh,
400,000.
can you-
We talked about that,
I'm
I'm
so-
sorry.
I'm sorry, can you go back to the payroll? Were there, was time spent making corrections at all to were there any mistakes that you found before?
Well, and you can speak to it, but usually when there's a mistake on payroll, they're pretty quick. The employee's pretty quick to tell you. So
Okay.
usually those mistakes, you have to cut a manual check, and
Mhm.
that does take time and labor. So, and I think you were alluding that there was quite a few manual checks over the past year.
There's been lots of manual checks.
And
In the last, what period would you say?
I would say that early on, that was happening quite a bit, but lately, I think that they've gone down quite a bit as well.
and
I mean,
I messed up. I think the first one, there was a slight error, but since then we haven't had to issue any manual checks. So.
so in some ways, when we're trying to record these numbers, I will tell you that early on, trying to find where the paperwork was going, when people had left, because invoices and things like that go to emails instead of coming into the city on paper. Things weren't filed right, trying to just find the documents we needed to make sure that your expenses have been captured, took the city staff quite a bit of time as well. And recently, when we're going through each month, they're getting more and more organized, and that's what we want to see. I mean, I
Okay,
think
so
that
can we
they're
just call it, like, for lack of a better term, like pre and post SAM? So pre-SAM, let's say, there were a lot of errors and paper checks being cut because of clerical errors. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, because
Okay.
the person at Sikich was doing a fine job with it,
Okay.
but
Mm.
yeah, and I don't well, I'm not
I
a
just
member of
want
the
to time,
council.
I just want a time, like, I wanted like a, we found a lot of errors, like in August of 2021, or like, like, but we fixed them. That's all I was asking. Like a time frame like that. But if you can't give it, it's fine.
Well, so my biggest concern is between May, I think was the last time we got a finance report for anything coming to our treasurer. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
And from that period, May, June, July, there are a lot of things going on in August. And we've jumped all the way to October for these
And
reports.
they're through September, but I
Yeah.
can give you them by month if you want.
Well, that's what we want. And see, the thing is we've had employees that got raises without our authority. We got a lot of stuff going on without our authority. And it just seems like that we're trying to track those things down. We need to find out from the beginning, because there was a period there. Like right now, we're 6 months behind, pretty much. And no disrespect to your firm,
I'm not taking it that way, don't worry,
but yeah.
because I've done a lot to try
Yeah,
to
you
get
did a
these
lot,
done.
exactly.
And
I mean, you were here a couple of days, were you here yesterday?
I've been here every day this week.
Every day this week. And like we had spoke to our mayor about bringing you in, and his concern was the money, the money that we'd have to pay you per hour. And we said that wasn't a matter of us. We just wanted to get things correct so we'll know, because we need to have checks and balances.
Exactly.
And we just haven't had them in a long time. I mean, 6 months is like a half of a year.
And trying to find the documents
Yeah.
has been hard.
Oh, I
And
know.
so if I don't
understood,
have what I need,
if you don't have what you need,
Right.
nothing you can do,
but we've made a lot of calls, gotten a lot of things from vendors, gotten a lot of things from people that, send you remittances, like, because a lot of this stuff might have gone electronically and went into people's emails that no longer.
is it possible that we can get some checks that were written from possibly employees, whatever? I mean, can we see those things? Because we need to know where the money's going. This is all good, all right, but we just need to know if we can get some checks, so we know a paper trail. We need to know where they are. We got
Bank
a
statement.
treasurer here that hasn't got anything. He gets paid.
Well, he's welcome to come in and sit there with me and do this, if
Oh,
you would
yeah.
like.
I can address that for you, Councilman Nelson.
Yes, sir.
I can give you bank accounts or statements for any account that you're interested in. If you want the
Yes.
statements, whatever month you want, we've got probably 12 to 14 different accounts. And whatever statement you want from whatever account you want, just send me an email. I can copy that statement and send it to you.
Mayor, you're here now. You're on the meeting now, so.
Well, I don't have access to that account right now. I have to be back.
I know, but you're listening. You're listening to what we're saying. We need to have those that information, because there were raises, there were employees getting raises, and I understand that any money is being spent to go through the board. There's several residents that brought that to my attention several times in board meetings. Hey, we need to know, and they need to know. I'm not just sitting here for myself. I'm sitting here for hundreds, thousands of residents who put us in this position. So that's just our concern, right? Well, my concern. I can't speak for the council, but I'm just speaking for myself.
My concern also.
Yes, and there's another council person that speaks the
Yeah,
same.
bank statement.
Yeah, we
The
need to
bank
see.
statements and the checks are here in public, in City Hall. They're in the file right on the other side of the door right now. Because from my understanding, someone comes in from Angela Dorn's firm to make sure that the books are balanced and stuff. So all the checks that were signed and the credit card statements are all here at this time, right? They're in a file that's right through that door over there, right?
Well, what I'd really like to see done is get Oh, excuse me a minute, I just can't stop sneezing. Get reconciled through this fiscal year and then get an audit. And then if there's any irregularities in 2021, an audit will show it and they'll make recommendations to us as how we can improve our internal controls, what mistakes we're making, how we can do a better job. So I'd like to get this reconciled.
Mr. Beckman, Mr. Beckman, Mr.
Wait a minute,
Beckman.
I can't talk and hear at the same time.
Okay, well,
Councilman Hunt,
Mr.
you have a
Beckman,
question?
this is Maurice Hunt. The city of Normandy paid for an audit. You talked to the auditor.
I know, I
And
saw the
you
check for
canceled-
$11,000 and that
and
was
you
back in
canceled the audit,
2020.
And you canceled the audit.
I didn't
that she
cancel
could-
anything. What are you talking about?
So.
I didn't
the
cancel
audit-
an audit. I was on the
So-
meeting in October of 20 where the gal said she couldn't find enough records to do an audit. But I did find a check signed by you for 11,000 and some odd dollars to
Yeah,
that
was
firm.
approved
And
by the
I don't know
council.
what we got for that money, but
Okay, but you stated, did you not state that in a council meeting that you talked to the auditor and you said that it was insufficient amount of documents to complete an audit? And you
that
told-
comment was made
That-
before I was mayor.
That
I was
comment
on
was
that
made before he was mayor.
before
That
I was
comment was
mayor.
when you were the
I
mayor.
attended a meeting where you were
That was
presiding.
in December.
And he
when
made
you were
that
the-
comment that I can't get enough information to do an audit. That comment was made before the election. That's what I was referring to.
Okay,
So
so.
I didn't cancel anything.
You know
I
what,
canceled nothing.
Angela's Dorn here, and she knows the name and the telephone number of the lady, so we'll just have to call her and find out why the audit wasn't completed and who instructed her not to complete the audit.
She specifically said that she only had 5% of the receipts that she needed. And that was when Sharon Warren was there and you were the mayor. That's what she specifically said.
And from my understanding, she was still working on the audit, because when I was mayor, I was talking to Angela Dorn, and she was still working on the audit. Even after I wasn't,
Okay,
And
he
what-
has
Right.
something.
go ahead. Charles has something to say.
I'm just gonna go ahead and make this suggestion now. I don't know what year this auditor was doing. I suppose it was 20. Because otherwise it couldn't have been anything that she could have prepared for 21, because the year concluded in September. So with that being said, I believe it would be a good method going forward, just to go ahead and make sure that we have a complete set of records for the year 21. And that way we can get a bona fide audit for those records. And we should not have anyone say in the middle of the audit that they can't do it for whatever reason, the record's not being complete or whatever. If we're able to get everything complete for fiscal year 21, then we should be able to get an audit for that particular year and then be able to go forward from there. That's what I
Angela,
would propose.
is it any problem that I can get the name and telephone number of the lady who did the audit, so I can find out what exactly happened?
You hired her. Why are you yeah, I can get you that name.
She's from
I
Box.
I didn't
It was-
ask you, Mark
it was
Beckman. I
Box
asked
Steel.
Angela.
It was Box Deal. The company's name was Box,
Okay,
BOTZ Deal,
okay.
DEAL,
And
and her name's Michelle Graham.
Michelle Graham, I'm gonna need a telephone number and all that stuff so I can. So do I call Michelle Graham or do I call her firm?
Well, I'll give you the number for her firm, but you
Okay.
could ask for her and she'll call you back.
I'll get it later. Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead.
So are we able to see bank statement, payroll record?
I don't know what the council's able to see. I mean, I don't know if you can see payroll records.
I think we can.
That's
Do you
a,
see
that's a
payroll
legal
record?
thing. I think the statements and all the financial stuff is an open book, but
Right.
I don't know what,
Tell me this, do you see bank statements to get this information?
yes,
Okay, if you see them, then the council should be able to see it.
you asked me about payroll records and I don't know
No,
about payroll records.
I see a bank statement,
I said bank statements are open
yes,
book.
payroll record, you can't. use
I
it.
don't know about payroll records.
Yeah,
Okay.
we could ask Attorney Gray, there could be some issues
Right.
with names, but we could give you generalized things about rates per position.
Right.
Yeah, I mean.
How much
everybody
was
knows.
spent in
I mean,
department.
it's public record, what everybody
But-
makes. For stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that, I believe that is true. Again,
So that means that if someone got a raise, we're getting paid this much money this 6 months, and then the next 6 months, they were getting paid higher income, and there was a raise there. So obviously, I mean, it makes sense to know that there was a raise there, right?
yeah, and I'm gonna defer to Gray on
Yeah.
all of that, because if you tell a council person, then theoretically anyone can know. But
Yeah, I mean, that's
I
public
think,
record.
there's a certain amount of things you can know, which is name, and I think pay
Well,
rate
I'll
might
tell
be
you
one
what,
of them. I can definitely give you department totals
What
and
I do know,
things like that.
in the last 5.5 years as a council person, what I do know is anytime there's a raises, contract, things like that, it goes to the board,
Sure.
you know,
Right.
I do that.
Yeah, so we're just, I'm just asking, all of this and all of these numbers and all of this is fine. But we need to see bank statements. We need to see where checks are going out. What's the balance on these bank statements?
We can provide those documents. One of the things that Angela
How far do you want to go back?
one of the things that Angela does is she prepares those into this format for you,
Right,
and she's very good at her job. So on one level, we just trust that that's correct, and that's
right. No
what an
doubt,
accountant
she's been
does.
doing it for 20
But,
years.
We
Um,
want to go all the way
right.
back to.
specific
May-
statements, though.
I wanna go to May.
May
May,
1st.
May 1st, and, until,
That's all the checking accounts and the
Yes,
visas
yes.
and the credit cards.
everything. I need to know, the board, needs to know. that,
Right, who's signing these checks?
Mayor Beckman signs all the checks.
Oh, the only person?
Uh,
That's not right.
Well, let me address that. We've got internal controls in place. Sam creates POs. They go to the department heads and get signed. So then those POs come to me. I approve them. They then go to Michelle, who writes the checks. Then they come to me and I sign the check. So I can't create a check. I don't have access to QuickBooks. And before I sign checks, the department heads are signing off on the POs. So it's a good system. I think it works well.
and in most cities,
Charles has
Oh.
something to say.
I was just gonna go ahead and say, generally, every check does not need two signatures unless that's something that's a part of city charter or city policy. However, it is a good practice for certain checks that are over a certain amount to have two signatures. Now, that would depend on who wants to make that call as to what that amount would be. But, I would say something like 5 figures or more would be something you would definitely want to make sure it's at least two
That's
signatures.
been our.
I
policy.
can't say,
You can say that.
because I've never seen a
generally,
signature.
what a lot of cities will do is have the mayor and the city administrator sign the check.
A policy has been two signatures. Two signatures when I was there, and once we lost the city clerk, didn't have.
Having trouble hearing you, Mr. Hunt. Thank you.
It was the policy, all the way up to 2020 to have two signatures on all checks. It was the mayor and the city clerk. When the city clerk got fired, we didn't have a city clerk to sign for the checks then. And then
What
I
is
was
it?
out of office, so, I guess Mayor Beckman left off where I was at, and they just, we need to start back having two signatures. We need to probably make a suggestion that, Sam and the mayor, or the chief and the mayor sign all the checks.
I have no objection with that. Somebody's making a lot of noise.
Someone needs to mute their phone.
Yeah.
So you were saying something, Sam?
Oh, just that usually in a lot of cities, it's the mayor who's an elected official, and then the city administrator who's, fully appointed by the entire council who's on that check. But yeah, it should, and you should assign it to a position, not a specific person. So that's all I was gonna say.
So when is it possible? Get the bank statements and stuff like that.
Rick, I don't think anybody can hear what you're saying there. Thank you.
He
Go ahead.
he was asking when he can get specific bank statements, and if you
Oh.
want to.
I have no, I can create those. I'll be in again Monday. I don't think I'm going in this weekend. I can give you the most recent bank statement for every account we have. To create every bank statement for every account for multiple months, that's a ream of paper. So
Right.
if you would be specific, if I give you those most recent bank statements, and you'll be able to look at balances and checks written for the most recent, and if that generates any questions, you can say, hey, I'd like more this additional information. I have access to all of it. So if you have specific concerns or specific accounts or specific months, yeah, I can give that to you.
Statement wouldn't have the name. You'll just have a check number.
I think that checks and, well, I'd like to know if there were raises. Were there raises given to employees over the past 6 months?
Well, we had the police raises, and I did have raises because we changed job descriptions, but I did not go out of budget. We had a budget, we had a dedicated budget for every department.
Mayor, I'm not asking about the budget. I'm asking about raises.
Yes, there were raises. Yes.
So what's the conclusion? Will we see these bank statements?
Yeah,
You have to give them a timeline. You want them by the 14th, you want them by the 16th, you gotta give them a timeline.
Can we, is it possible, before our next meeting, what's the 22nd? Our board meeting on the 22nd, isn't that the day?
yeah, and so I'll just step in. If you provide me specifically what you want, I'll get that for you.
Basically, employees.
So you want an audit of any pay rate changes that happen? Okay, I'll have to.
Except the police department, we already, we pretty much approved that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everyone who was
Yeah.
in employment of the city.
Right.
Okay, and then-
Legal.
Yeah.
And I'll just treat it essentially as a sunshine request, obviously without a fee for council members, and then I'll just.
I had a sunshine request that.
Yeah,
everything-
there was one.
I submitted a sunshine request that was never completed, that asked for what we asking for right now.
Right.
And because I got an email from, I don't know, Michelle or whoever says that I will be charged. And I explained to her that I'm a council member, and a council member can get any documents at any time. All the things that my sunshine request is still on the file. And because my sunshine request hasn't been fulfilled, you do know that there is $1,000 a day or a week or a month. It's one of them until that sunshine request is completed. And
I can address that. Your sunshine request was treated under the laws regarding sunshine. I mean, it was the sunshine law, which does not allow any information from a personnel file. As a council person, you can make it, as a council person, you can make a different request.
But I didn't.
But when it comes in under the guidelines of a sunshine law request, sunshine law applies. So we were in kind of an odd spot with that.
What was the odd spot? Because I didn't ask.
Because we have to comply with sunshine law, and sunshine law says we can't disclose personnel information from a personnel file.
But the sunshine request never asked for any of that.
I thought it
Right.
did.
One of those
But
sunshine.
anyway, that's fine.
The sunshine request.
You,
was
you want,
for
hey, listen,
resource-
what you're asking for, you're gonna get. So why are we continuing? You're gonna get what you're asking for.
Bank statements,
Right,
our legal firm with, Steve Garrett. I got a copy of it. I'll make sure that you get it.
See his billing too. See, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just get specifics, and then anytime I fulfill a request like
Yeah,
that,
and the names, you know, and you could give, if you can't give names, you can give initials of whoever was on.
I think you can give business for the names.
I'll let Attorney Gray decide what
Right.
is sunshineable and not.
I'm going to,
Yeah.
sunshine request on the law firms.
Mhm.
Steve Garrett and
There was a final payoff.
It should have been. 'Cause he
It should have been.
terminated his employee.
Exactly.
there is another. law
Redirect
firm.
back to Angela Dorn and see if we got any more questions for her. And if not, we'll excuse her and then we can continue to have any conversation we want to have.
Angela, you can go to sanitation, then we can excuse you and let you go home.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I was concerned with, I can't speak for the rest of the council, is, from my understanding, we had a new person, that was hired to, enter the data and cache the information and to make the deposit for public works and sanitation. That person did not want to do that job, and for some reason, I'm curious, was the right amount of money deposited in public works and sanitation fund, or was it all put in the general fund? It hasn't been crossed over or deposited into the sanitation fund, because we was told that the sanitation department was losing money, and we don't know how is that possible since we haven't got a statement since May. So how we would know that they was losing money if we never received a statement in the last 6, 7, 8 months?
Okay, that goes back to the problem I told you about earlier.
Okay.
So,
Pandemic.
when you look at the sanitation statement, which is the next one,
Mhm.
we budgeted $214,000 of revenue, and
That was on the next page, or?
that's single page.
Single page, just it. Okay, go ahead.
And the revenue you brought in was about $214,000. You're pretty consistent year to year with your revenue. Your expenses were up quite a bit, and that's because your trucks had a lot of issues. And I think you bought a new truck as well. And so overall, the sanitation fund for this year has lost $124,000. Historically, when we look back at the sanitation fund, it tends to take care of itself. You brought in enough revenue to cover your expenditures, so that was really good. But I have told you many times throughout the years that that is great, but there was not enough money left over that if you had major repairs on the trucks, that you would have the funds to cover those expenses. And I think that's kind of what I'm seeing right now for what happened through September 30, 2021. There was a lot of repairs that had been made on your trucks. And so now as a result, I believe you switched to sanitation at the end of the year. As a result, I don't think when the money comes in from the sanitation, it goes directly into the sanitation's bank account. If people are paying with checks or cash, it goes directly into the sanitation's bank account. If they pay with a credit card, that credit card is hooked up to the general fund, and so that would go through the general fund. So it creates the due to, due from. The general fund would owe the sanitation fund money. A lot of these expenses for payroll and things like that, the checks are being written out of the general fund. And again, we create a due to, due from. Now the sanitation fund owes the general fund for those payroll expenses. And then we try to kind of true that up by transferring money to make it even. But with all of these extra expenses, I don't believe there'll be enough money for the sanitation to pay back to the general fund, everything they should, when we close down this fund. Now, when I'm looking at these, I mean, these are also capital expenses, and I was hoping that, I need to, again, make sure that I can explain this a little bit better for you. That capital expenses can also come out of the capital improvement fund, and maybe we could shift some of that way to lessen the burden on the general fund once we settle the sanitation issue.
Is it like property money?
No, the Prop P money is part of public safety, and that's
Yeah.
in your general fund, covering your general fund,
Right.
police. So, I mean, I think that, we just need to kind of be smart about this as far as looking at what these expenses are for and if they're truly capital. The other thing is that, you do have the trucks, and I would think at some point you'd have to sell that asset, because that's an asset. And that money would help out as well, because that's part of the asset of the sanitation fund.
I don't see anything that says repairs or maintenance fee.
It's under vehicle sanitation.
7825.
78.
7825.
So,
Account 7825.
And would you mind explaining the difference between governmental funds and enterprise funds? And I don't mean to
No, you're
throw
fine.
it at you.
No, a governmental fund is basically supported by public money like taxes and things like that. An enterprise fund, you're charging a fee. And so it's more like a business. And that's why I said you have assets on your books in the form of those trucks. And so a business is supposed to operate, a business is supposed to operate to where it makes money, that's fine. And so it's just reported a little bit differently.
Yeah, and with governmental funds, you don't necessarily, it's more cash basis as opposed to enterprise. You have assets and things like that. So
I'm
keep in mind.
I'm sitting here looking at 2020 September, and the same thing. It's not. It's October. In 2020, the vehicle repair was 51,300. It doubled. It only doubled to $104,000.
Right.
So because we spent the extra $53,000, that put us in the red.
It's about the $40,000 truck.
Then we take the
There
money.
is a truck included in that vehicle sanitation right now that if I was presenting these on more of a gap basis, I would capitalize that asset, and it will be capitalized for your year end. But again, I wanted you to see how much had been spent on that truck, because that's kind of how you budget your budget. I mean, your dumping fees are up
Yeah, of course.
$7,000. Your personnel expenses are up about 10.
We don't have them anymore.
At that time, we didn't.
You did through January, I
Yeah.
mean through December,
Right.
but you're right, you don't, but you don't have any money coming in either.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying this fund will go away,
Go away.
basically.
So, where do it says that what was the monthly income? Was it? I've seen it somewhere. The monthly income for sanitation was how much?
Well, overall for the year, you're at 214,000.
Yeah, for the year, but not but you don't have it monthly. 'Cause
I
just
don't
said-
have the monthly on there, no.
It averaged out to
So that's from
20,000.
this time to this time.
What are we looking for?
Yeah, see, that was 204,000.
18,000.
And that's how much we brought in September 2020
That's through the whole year,
through the
because
whole
that's
year.
the end of the year.
Right.
Yeah.
And at this time, we brought 214.
Mhm.
So we overspent 142.
No, this is saying you budgeted 214,000, you
Mhm.
actually got 214,142, so you did better than what we budgeted by 142.
I know.
$142.
Okay,
Pretty much we were in line here,
okay.
which was a little bit, we budget a little bit more, well, we budget about the same that we did that year. This year we were down about 10.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It just, I don't see where they wasn't making any money. That's. what I'm trying to
Right.
figure out.
I need
It
a
was just
copy.
negative expenses.
It's the added expenses that
Right.
we had in here wasn't enough to be supported by what we're charging for sanitation.
Okay.
You know, when a trash truck needs repairs, it's usually a major
Yeah.
expense.
And you can compare total revenue to total expenses, is kind of, and then at the very bottom, it shows the difference between the two.
Yeah, I see $104,000 for vehicle repairs.
So that's,
$104,000.
that's that $38,000 truck that you purchased.
Right.
And, you know, so at the end of the day, I'll capitalize that $38,000. So your loss will only be like $90,000, but it's still a huge loss.
And you still got to transfer the credit card payments back into the sanitation fund that's still in the general fund.
No,
right?
it's, the income is reported in the fund. It's
Okay.
just, we'd have to transfer the money physically, that's all.
But it hasn't been done yet, has it?
No, but basically overall, because of the payroll costs coming out of the general fund, the sanitation fund owes the general fund. There's not enough credit card money coming in.
Okay.
Most of your money goes directly into your bank account, but we record it as revenue and then show a due to, due from, so that it balances out.
All right. Do y'all need Angela for anything else?
Nope.
So I guess as far as the monthly report, when could we expect June through September and then the remaining months after that?
Oh, running the monthlies for June through September?
Yeah,
So Sam told me I needed to do all of it within 2 weeks, so we're trying to get it done within 2 weeks.
okay.
Because the question I have, don't we supposed to approve that
Yeah,
every month? And we have not been approving it since May. So
Nope.
we kind of like approving the agenda that's not really on the agenda because we have not had a statement.
they more or less have been tabled at this point
Right.
because they haven't been
I don't
presented.
recall us tabling
No,
that.
no, we didn't table anything.
It just said it was no
They just
report.
That's all
been
it says, no
presented.
report. That's what he said we are.
Right, so it hasn't been tabled, so we've been approving the agenda without a financial for the past months.
So, yeah, so the last one was presented in July for May. So we have not received a report since August for June and up to that point till now. So in February, we would have expected to see
months.
the December report.
Right.
So it's June through December. June through December at this point that we are still looking for presentation.
And so y'all will have it by the
We
next
have a
meeting?
meeting at February 22nd.
Well, and that's not a regular meeting. So usually you present the financial reports at regular meetings. So that's March 1st.
Yeah, that was just,
Yeah.
the mayor's asking $30,000 to amend the budget to hire or bring on the salary for the courts.
And
Public Works.
also, there's also plans to the ARPA money, the ARPA money, to invest that into some capital expenditures.
Now, I'm a little confused with our,
Sure.
I'm quite confused because I don't know whether they changed the spending or, you know, can you?
Yeah, I can explain. So initially, when they came out with the guidelines, if you read the actual law, it's like not even a paragraph, right? Saying we allocate this money to all the municipalities. Then the federal government, the Department of Treasury, comes out with guidelines about how you can spend the money. So ever since this law was passed, which I think was back in April, they keep updating these guidelines. And about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer, they came out and basically said, as long as it's under $10 million, you can claim it as lost revenue, like a standard deduction like you do on your taxes, and you can spend that money however you want. So earlier, when we talked about ARPA funds late last year, we were talking about we need to figure out how to spend these monies within the guidelines. Well, the guidelines have updated. we're getting less than $1 million. They said you can spend it on whatever you want up to $10 million. So
So what happens to the residents who may be looking for support from the government for help at their homes or going through COVID situation?
if that's, you know, we can spend the money however the council would like. If they, I know under
There's no
the,
criteria in that, isn't there, though?
yeah, but I think
I mean,
there,
it's a lot looser than it was.
yeah,
for
and
sure.
there, yeah, that is true. There is still some general guidelines. I think there are some assistance programs that have been okayed.
So we don't, the thing about, we don't have, I guess, a way of getting to our residents that are out there hurting, giving them information, you know, through newsletters and stuff like that. Then, you know, your furnace is out or this is out, you know, and they've got a lot of people who are very proud, you know, and they don't want to tell them how they are, and they want to get with the city hall and say, I need some help, you know, because we got people out there that need help, you know,
And lost wages.
Yeah, from my understanding, 'cause I'm reading on the US government treasury, they have it on here and they said that this is for anyone that has lost wages, anyone that's affected by COVID, that needs any assistance, no reoccurring bills. So reoccurring bills to me is like if we give our police department a raise, that's a reoccurring bill. But it says no reoccurring bill, it says public safety. Public safety is any house or small business that need assistance. It doesn't say anything that was applied to us about giving employees raises.
So there was definitely in the guidelines are quite long,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's a lot of pages there.
and you can go back on the ordinance we passed. There, you can spend money for salaries if it's to help bring back to full staffing. And you also can spend salaries to deal with COVID backlog in courts. And there were guidelines regarding public safety that really were pretty loose. You could spend them towards.
Well, Sam, let me interrupt you.
Sure.
My concern was, you know, we have no knowledge pretty much of knowing that we can help our residents out.
Right.
It's always about this help us.
Well, and it depends on how you want to help your residents. If you want to do direct assistance programs, then that's certainly the council's decision to make. One of the things the city does is provide services to its citizens. We provide police service, we provide, you know, public works services.
Oh, yeah.
And court services and other things among that.
Well, that's a gift.
And yeah, and the city's in, we could use some capital expenditures to improve those services and keep those services running.
Yes.
So I
just got ready.
depends how you look at it. I mean, investing in the capital of the city will definitely improve the citizens' services that they receive from the city, and that's what a city does. That's our
So
job.
what I do, when certain residents, they call me and they need assistance. Because I have several calls and my hands are tied. I'm like, what do I do? Because it seems like I don't get the information that I need to give them. And then they call City Hall and they can't get information. You can't, and I hear it all the time, you know, I'm calling, and I'm like, okay, we'll keep calling, you know, maybe, you know, because it is a pandemic. Everybody, you know what I mean?
Rick, we don't have no program, so I don't see how they can get assistance because we as a council hasn't created a program.
You haven't?
Right, we have to create the programs. We have not created programs to assist anyone.
So that's why we're
So,
in the municipal building. That was
so,
one of the main things.
it's getting late. Anybody want to ask Andrew any more questions?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Lawanda, do you want me to bring you a copy?
Yes, I was looking to see if Sam has sent it, but yeah, please.
I can swing by your house on the way home. So from my understanding, they're gonna try to provide us statements for the visas for the last 7-8 months and the checking accounts for all 12 checking accounts for the last 8 months, right? Is that what they're trying to do?
And the raise.
and the raises.
And the raises.
Okay, only, not the police department,
No,
the rest of the
No.
staff.
No.
And you got to give them a time frame to do it?
I thought it was the 22nd.
Okay.
Is that?
I think we should be able to. I mean, there's a certain amount of labor it would take to gather that and prepare that, but I think a week is reasonable, so.
Okay, and we were supposed to be having a meeting.
Yeah, that's from
Yes.
the last council meeting.
Okay, and what is?
That was about the mayor was asking $30,000
Oh, yeah.
for us to
Okay.
amend or something to
Yeah, that
make some
they
changes.
made-
And
they
And I
also-
wanted to talk to Angela
Yeah,
about
that
that.
was a mistake, a $30,000 mistake about a court clerk. or
So would you
something.
be there? Are you scheduled to be there on the 22nd?
But
No.
it can be if you want me to.
Do you know?
If there's a question for her, can we ask it now so she doesn't
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
text?
go
me?
ahead, because she's here now, yeah, yeah. Mary, help us out a little bit, because we're all a little foggy right now. From my understanding, you was asking for us to amend the budget for $30,000. Or-
I don't recall the exact amount. I don't think it required the whole 30, but I only budgeted for 2 court clerks, and it was a misunderstanding, miscommunication. What, and maybe Angela can explain better, but we only have budgeted money to pay 2 court clerks. I need a 3rd court clerk. And it was just an oversight in creating the budget. Angela, do you have anything to add to that?
And I can,
I mean, I thought you had told me 2 and you had
Well,
always
let-
meant 3.
let me clarify,
So
so.
you see Angela doing that, that's not good. I see her doing that. That means-
Somebody was speaking,
I'm sorry,
somebody was,
I'm sorry, I was cracking a joke, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you look at the 2022 budget, there's about $104,000 allocated to court salaries. And with the current labor market, I think that would have worked a couple years ago for 3 court clerks, but that's paying them $13, $14 an hour, not the current, going rate,
What is
competitive
the
rate.
going rate?
Um,
Because
we don't have an official classification
Mhm.
system yet, but
range
starting at 16
all the way up to the maximum is what, 20?
Uh, for a court administrator, starting at 20.
look on the Labor and Statistics website.
Yeah, and
Do we have somebody that's a court administrator?
we don't have an official court administrator, but we did make a posting.
So so the extra money is for the person that's getting ready to come, the court administrator, or a regular employee? I thought it was just a regular employee.
No, so the way it was budgeted in the worksheet was for essentially 2 people to be paid around $14 an hour and 1 person to be paid at $18 an hour. And to get it to full staff back there in the labor market, it takes a little bit more. So right now we have a court clerk, a head court clerk, and 1 part-time clerk. A little bit more money, we could get a full-time person back there, as for 3 full-time people back there and 1 part-time person back there. And
And
really,
we're talking about how much?
how much, I think I could probably revise it down now that we're a little bit further in the budget year. But I think it was $30,000, because you also have to count when you add another person, you're adding another, health insurance benefits, federal withholdings, all that kind of stuff, Social Security.
So Andrew, do we have room for our fiscal year? Because we already gave across the table, the police department, a 13% raise. And there's regular staff that got raises. Sanitation got raises. They moved from 12 to 17.
Sanitation is gone.
Wow.
I mean, sanitation, you don't have sanitation anymore.
That's not accurate. There's only 1 person making over 13.
So Angela, do we have room in the budget to be able to approve something like that? I think that's a question
Right.
Yeah.
before it's actually approved.
I don't know that I can.
Laughing.
Well, I'm just laughing because I didn't know I was gonna get to ask this question tonight. I would have liked to have looked at the budget a little bit.
Well, how about look at the budget and maybe.
Yeah.
Cause we got the 22nd, we was meeting on the 22nd, so maybe this will give you some time to do some homework, but you can answer that question.
That would be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so is it my understanding that Councilman Hunt and Councilwoman Ratliff are gonna meet with the engineers from Missouri American Water and review the specifications for this
We,
project?
I think they tabled that.
I think we tabled that. I think we're done with that.
Well-
If no one had any more questions, I was gonna ask you, did you want to adjourn the meeting?
Well, I'm asking, you said you wanted to look at the specifications and Councilwoman Ratliff agreed that she would meet with the engineers to review the specifications. Is that still your intention? And if not, what are we waiting for? To, put this-
The motion didn't pass.
Right.
all right, I'm asking a simple question. Is that your intention to do that?
The intention is to read the minutes, print the minutes, read them, and then I'll do what's necessary.
Well, I hope you can do what's necessary for the next meeting because I'd like to get this
Right,
passed.
that was tabled.
Thank you. All
That
right,
was tabled.
do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes,
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Ayes have it, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Running over to Lawanda's house, a copy of this.
Yeah.
And-
Out there.
Oh, because I see he has a whole bunch of copies and stuff.